If you've ever felt like everyone around you is sprinting forward while your own feet are cemented to the floor, Julian felt the exact same way at 27. Until the day he spent 6 months watering a pot of empty dirt. No plant, no sign of life, just soil. And it taught him a silent lesson about success that changed everything. At 27, Julian felt like he was watching the rest of the world sprint forward, while his own feet were cemented to the floor. The glow of his phone screen lit up his dark studio apartment as he scrolled through endless photos of his friends' new houses, recent promotions, and smiling engagement photos. While his university friends seemed to be building their lives with ease, Julian was still staring at the same stacks of rejection letters for the novel he had spent 5 years writing. He had poured his entire soul into his manuscript, only to remain stuck at the starting line. The daily habit of comparing his quiet, unmoving reality to everyone else's highlight reel was slowly wearing him down. His silent struggle was noticed by Mr. Henry, the elderly man who tended the community garden on the roof of their building. Mr. Henry moved with a deliberate, unhurried grace, his calloused, soil-stained hands a testament to decades of quiet patience. His eyes, framed by deep laugh lines, held a steady calmness that made you feel completely understood. He knew the trap of comparison. One evening, without speaking a word, the old gardener handed Julian a wooden tray. Inside were 2 identical clay pots filled with soil, 2 unmarked seeds, and a brief handwritten note instructing Julian to plant them both, give them equal water, and wait. Glad for a distraction, Julian followed the instructions. Within 2 weeks, the first seed broke through the earth. It shot upward quickly, unrolling wide green leaves and blossoming into a bright yellow sunflower. It was beautiful and instantly successful. The second pot, however, remained a patch of silent dirt. For months, Julian watered the second pot, but nothing happened. The empty dirt seemed to mirror his own life. No matter how much effort he put in, there was no visible progress. He felt foolish kneeling on the cold concrete every morning to water an empty pot, just as he felt foolish holding on to his unpublished book. As autumn arrived and stripped the trees outside bare, Julian's exhaustion deepened. The freezing winter winds rattled his thin windows, making it harder and harder to drag himself out of bed to tend to a failure. He stared at that dark, stubborn patch of soil, battling a daily urge to just throw it in the trash and give up on everything. Yet some quiet, inexplicable stubbornness kept him going. He poured his small cup of water into the barren dirt every single morning, shivering in the cold, fighting his own quiet doubt. Eventually, unable to survive the changing seasons, the bright sunflower browned, wilted, and quietly died. Then, on a cold morning, a thick green shoot finally pierced the soil of the second pot. It grew slowly and deliberately. By early spring, it had bloomed into a deeply layered red rose, its dark, velvety petals unfurled with a quiet elegance, revealing a rich, breathtaking color that commanded attention. A faint, sweet scent drifted into the cool morning air, a gentle reward for the long, silent winter. It possessed a quiet strength that required a massive, hidden root system to survive the harsh winter. It demanded months of darkness before it was ready for the light. Julian didn't feel an instant wave of relief. Instead, he pulled up a chair and sat quietly in front of the window, watching the morning sun hit the red petals.
He looked at the dead stem of the sunflower in the other pot, and then back at the rose. He thought about the months he had spent feeling like a failure simply because his progress was invisible. He thought about his manuscript sitting in his desk drawer, and for the first time he didn't feel ashamed of it. Slowly, the heavy knot in his chest began to loosen. He realized he was never failing. He was simply a different kind of seed, building his roots in the dark, preparing for a completely different timeline. A soft tapping sound drew his attention. Outside on the roof, Mr. Henry was tending to a nearby flower bed. The old man paused, looked through the window at the blooming rose, and then met Julian's eyes. Mr. Henry offered a slow, knowing nod before turning back to his work. Julian breathed out a long sigh and smiled for the first time in months. Moral: a rose is never a failure just because it takes longer to bloom than a sunflower.
If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to click the bell icon so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.